talking about Nigeria now. I looked at the population index this morning, the one that counts every second, and we're almost 200 million people in Nigeria. So that's huge, huge potential for new investors coming into the tourism industry. The ability of the destination to develop a competitive edge is a function of the level and quality of human capital. There's nothing else to define tourism. It's all about human capital. It's an experiential thing for everyone who moves from one place to the other. And it's word of mouth as well. People are going to recommend your country or your town or your state or your property because of the person who served them. Nigeria is a fast emerging tourism market and destination richly endowed with business, cultural, and natural resources, an understatement. Unless this destination called Nigeria is groomed to improve on its poor tourism, service, and delivery culture, it will continue to serve as a market to other competing international tourist destinations. There's no point deceiving ourselves, we're all professionals here, except we take building capacity within the tourism and transportation industry very seriously. We will continue to just be a market for other destinations. Hence, the resources are waiting for the right human element that will combine expertise and material optimally to produce the expected tourism benefits. Recommendations. Not all of them will be agreeable to everyone, but that's just our suggestion. The political will to legislate and adequately regulate the tourism and transport sectors. NIHOTO's bill is waiting for assent, and we're very grateful to those of you who supported, but even for those of you who didn't quite understand it, the idea behind the NIHOTO bill was to build capacity. And the bill did not say you had to be trained in NIHOTO, it simply said you had to be trained. You must be certified to work in the industry. And once that bill gets assent from the president, NIHOTO will begin to rigorously pursue getting people who work in the industry professionally certified. It means that properties who employ people who are not certified will get sanctioned. We need to take this as serious business. Tourism is business. And people invest billions of dollars into properties. What fails them in Nigeria is the human capital. So we need to all sit up, to make this a very, very attractive industry for the world, Nigerians and the world to invest in. The leadership commitment in driving the process through adequate budgetary appropriation and releases of funds. Stakeholders should be fully involved in the development of tourism and transport curriculum from craft to managerial levels to meet skills demands. This has been met in our industry, the tourism industry, through the Sector Skills Council for Hospitality, Travel and Tourism Trades, which has developed and approved levels 1 to 3 of the National Occupational Standards. I must say a very big thank you to all the stakeholders, but we look forward to a more robust partnership where you continue to give us feedback and send us information as regards training as it affects your own little area. The federal government and stakeholders, including, should give grants. This is my civil service cap I'm now wearing. Should give grants for postgraduate studies and scholarships to trainers, lecturers, and quality assurers to help us further develop the right training within the industry. An immediate upgrade of facilities and structures in the existing tourism and transport training institutions. This, I know, for the industry has been a sticking point as far as NIHOTO is concerned. We're doing our best to work on it campus by campus. We're still very far from where we should be, and we hope that in the next 2-3 years, we'll get to something that meets industry standards and everyone is very happy about it. To this end, I don't know if anyone in this audience here has gotten an expression of interest. NIHOTO has sent out letters asking for expression of interest from the industry, especially those who own properties. The idea is we shouldn't keep saying the federal government has to build training hotels and all of that. We have hotels already. Why can't we work in partnership that when kids finish doing their academic training, they're able to go do their internship in properties that already exist? You don't need to pay them anything for their coming to work. You just need to work with NIHOTO to allow this happen. A few hotels have sent in their acceptance of the expression of interest, and we're very grateful. We're hoping that more hotels, more tour operators, and tour agencies would send in their acceptance of the expression of interest. And then NIHOTOR and NITT should be empowered with effective acts to regulate professional practices for the two sectors. I think that's non-existent anymore for NIHOTOR. The NIHOTOR bill is warm and waiting for Mr. President to sign, and we're looking forward to the beautiful day that he will sign the bill, and it will make it a lot easier for us to begin to properly regulate the personnel who work in the industry. And this is a very good opportunity for me to also explain the word regulation. The word regulation doesn't mean that someone is going to come and lock up your properties. We can't grow this business if we want to be at odd ends with each other. The only way to grow this business is that we work hand in hand with each other for development. So please, NIHOTOR is not going to come looking to shut your hotels or your businesses. That's not in NIHOTOR's interest. Our interest is that quality training is delivered to the personnel who work in the industry. It also gives an opportunity to those of you who have the capacity to open training schools yourselves, to please go ahead and open your training schools, because once that law is signed, no one will be allowed to work in the industry without certification. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, ma'am. NIHOTOR is encouraging personnel in the industry to see competencies as currencies. And against what Mr. Val said, if operators in the industry are looking at the required ROI, it's also very important that they look at the second ROI, which is the return on individuals. Well, thank you very much, ma'am, for that wonderful presentation. Please, another round of applause for her, please. I would like to call up here Mr. Tilahon Tadasi, the Traffic and Sales Manager, Abuja, Nigeria, for Ethiopian Airways. A round of applause as he comes up, please. We'll go right next into our next presentation by Dr. Mrs. Geraldine Okudo, and I'll read her citation. The high demand for well-trained manpower in the transport industry underlines the necessity for in-depth research and analysis of interest in factors influencing human resource development. Dr. Mrs. Geraldine Okudo and co-workers have carried out series of research on human resource development in land, rail, air, and maritime transport modes in Nigeria. She was part of the team that revised the MBA curriculum in the Department of Transport Management Technology. Dr. Mrs. G.N. Okudo was also the first coordinator of the Young Members Forum of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Federal University of Technology, Owerri branch. Dr. Mrs. Okudo, a great intellectual of a professorial cadre, has served the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, in various administrative capacities, notably as Associate Dean of the School of Management Technology, Executive Member of the Futo Women Association, among others. Presently, she is the Head of Department, Transport Management Technology, FUTO. Her research interests are in the area of human capacity studies, transport management studies, productivity in transport industries, human capacity building in transportation, transport logistics and physical distribution management. She is a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, member of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration, Nigeria, and other professional bodies. She is the chairman, Women in Logistics and Transport, Imo State Chapter. She is the wife of the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics FUTO, and the marriage is blessed with wonderful children, amongst all are graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause as Dr. Mrs. Geraldine.
I want to stand on the existing protocol. And I want to appreciate the opportunity and privilege given to me to present a paper titled Marketing Destination. Marketing Destination Nigeria, the role of transportation sector. If we have listened carefully, you could see, and you could bear with me, that the Honorable DG really summarized what Marketing Destination Nigeria is all about and the role of transportation sector. And the Honorable PAMSEC equally summarized, and we are left with more or less agreeing to what has been said. We are given only 5 minutes, and I don't know how 5 minutes will be able to summarize what we have. But let me start with introduction. Tourism has become an important industry over the last few decades, and its economic impact, including direct, indirect, and indirect and induced effects, have been what? Enormous. If you look worldwide, many nations are already existing, their economy is already existing on what? Tourism. We have gotten so many examples. And based on that, you could agree with me that tourism has contributed over 7,580.9 million US dollars, which is equivalent to 9.8% of the global gross domestic product, and provided over 278,845,000 jobs, which is equivalent to 9.4% of the total global employment. If this is accurate, what is Nigeria doing in terms of transportation and tourism? Transportation and tourism are inseparable, and hence tourism cannot thrive without transportation. Okudo, Ikenna, and Ejem noted that the importance of transport in the smooth functioning of any city cannot be what? Overemphasized. They equally noted that for a city to grow and develop, it requires efficient and adequate transportation system to be put in place. And this is what Nigeria needs. And I believe we have a lot of private sectors here who are already into the business. And I know if the government agrees by producing or bringing out what we can call our own policies governing this nation, I think transportation and tourism will definitely come out of what it's from its nutshell and become something which the world is already buying. Going into transportation system and tourism, there's a strong public transport system, the application of appropriate traffic management scheme, and good linkage with the program of eco-tour operator may alleviate what? Impacts. Coleman studies of visitors what? Traffic in North York Moors National Park was aimed in getting the views of both visitors and residents on the traffic. The environmental and the visitor management system employed at that park. It also wanted to formulate a most suitable visitor traffic management scheme that would discourage the reliance on private vehicles and encourage use of what? Public transport. You find that in Nigeria, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on personal vehicles. But when you travel out, you find out that having a vehicle is a waste of money. And when the government embarks and improves the public transportation, automatically that has solved and have met the demand of tourism. Due to our time,
we look at what tourism potentials of Nigeria. Is there really any tourism potentials in Nigeria? Yes, I want to look at the 11 or the list of endless or most important areas in Nigeria which are tourist what will I call it? Areas. The Yankari Game Reserve, which is in Bauchi, which is a premier game reserve in Nigeria. The Mambila Plateau in the southeast corner of Taraba State, mainly a very high grassland plateau. The Kainji National Park in Kwara State, which incorporates Bogu and Zuguma games reserves, and the Jos Wildlife, that is Safari Park. The numerous beaches like the Lekki, the Bar, the Eko, the Badagry, the Coconut Calabar Beach, and then you talk about the Abokim waterfalls in Cross River States, and many others. You look at the popular Obudu Cattle Ranch, which has metamorphosed to the new world-class tourist center. Caves like the Obunike and Ajali, lakes like Agolo and Oguta, museums like the War Museum of Umuahia, Niri Museum, already taken over by the University of Ibadan as one of its research centers, which attracts a number of foreign researchers, tourists yearly. The Igbo Uku Museum, the National Museum at Lagos, the ASU Museum in Kwara State, the Tinapa Tourist Business Center, and a host of others. If you look at this, you know that Nigeria is already an existing tourist center, of which a little development and a little improvement on our transport infrastructure and transport system will automatically bring a great improvement. I know time is not on our side. All these papers are already with the information system, and I know it will be passed to each and every one of us. And when we go through it, we'll understand the importance that what we are standing on is on something that will make Nigeria and take Nigeria to a better place. And I believe if we all put our heads together, put our hands together to achieve this purpose, Nigeria will move to a greater height. On this note, I say thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ma. We'll move quickly to our next presentation, which will be done by Mr. Mabo Mefwil, who is representing Mr. Folorunso Koka, Director General, Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'm standing on existing protocols. First of all, let me apologize on behalf of my Director General, who for certain unforeseen circumstances couldn't make it to this very important event. I take that apology, especially from the observation of the Transcorp Chief Executive. Please take that apology. Now, the topic under consideration is opportunities, challenges of selling Nigeria to Nigerians for a robust domestic tourism in Nigeria. We understand this topic coming from NTDC to demand an expose to the participants as to whether or not there are opportunities, and if there are any challenges to their being developed for a better domestic tourism. In this paper, we have said yes, there are numerous opportunities, and I thank God that the immediate past speaker has attempted to make allusions to that. But permit me, since I'm an errand boy, let me pick some of the areas as they are written so that I maximize these 5 minutes. It will not be an overemphasis if we say domestic tourism includes just the movement of people within a country for purposes of business, leisure, cultural exchange, health, sports, visiting friends and relatives, weddings, funerals, birthdays, and so on. In Nigeria, with over 180 million people, most of who are in the ages between 15 to 40 years, the propensity to travel is very high. The beauty of domestic tourism is in the area of income redistribution, promotion of social integration, and cultural exchange and unity. The principal feature of domestic tourism is that the tourists do not need any visa or dollar. The fact that Nigeria has high interest in relaxation, celebration, and holiday making provides a very good setting for domestic tourism to thrive. Fortunately, the multiplier effect of domestic tourism is enormous. It ensures income distribution, promotes intercultural understanding, gives room to political stability and friendliness. Now, are there any opportunities in Nigeria? Any opportunities for domestic tourism to grow? Yes, opportunities for domestic tourism in Nigeria are replete. Nigeria is endowed with cultural, physical, historic, heritage, and man-made opportunities. And I'll just mention them because we will not have time to explain. And based on even some of the presentations, we all know what all this means. Cultural diversity. According to records, Nigeria has about 520 languages and more than 371 ethnic groups, which, with each tribe scarcely subsumed into another. These numerous tribes have diversity in their unique expressions in food, dress, and dance. This linguistic diversity makes Nigeria a microcosm of Africa as a whole and a wonder to behold. This uniqueness and diversity encourages daily movement of various reasons and is an opportunity for tourism. Cultural festivals. As a result of linguistic diversities, different cultural festivals, which are unique in form, style, and characteristics, abound. It will be a huge responsibility to mention all of Nigeria's cultural festivals, but a cursory look at our geographical formations gives us an idea spanning from the north to the south. The Arugungu Fishing Festival, the Wonyon Fishing Festival, the Mada Cultural Festival, the Birom Cultural Festival, Oshun Oshogbo, the Igwouku River Fest, Anang Cultural Festival, just to mention. The foods and cuisines. As cultures vary, this also reflects in the foods and cuisines. Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, you have an inexhaustible list of delicacies and flavors. The Nigerian tourism and the Naiho tours are already on an adventure of showcasing Nigerian foods in a program tagged Nigerian Flavors. The massive response at the maiden edition held here in Abuja reveals that this tourism product can turn into a huge fortune into our domestic markets. Restaurants, foods, fast foods, canteens, mama puts, roasted yam, plantains, akara, kilishi, suya, masa, fura de nono, fried yam, etc. enjoy high patronage by domestic tourists as they are steady income generating sources for many Nigerians. Religious festivals. The two major religions observe festivals at specific seasons, namely the Christian and the Easter celebration for Christians and the Durbar celebrations, which is usually the culmination of the Eid al-Fitr festival. These are pilgrimages and annual conventions. There are also pilgrimages and annual conventions, and of particular reverence, the Shiloh and the synagogue and Redeem. Others, there are celebrations that are general purpose, but rapidly gaining momentum. They provide big opportunities for travels and business, which boost local economies as follows: the Calabar Carnival, the Abuja Carnival, the Jos Carnival, music festivals, Nigerian movie film festival, just to mention but these few. Then the physical attractions. Nigeria today is acclaimed the largest country in Africa by global standards, the only country with the largest concentration of the black race with a population of about 200 million people. a large landmass of 923.78 kilometers square. Furthermore, Nigeria is located within the tropics, making its weather condition to vary steadily between the north and the south. The same affects vegetation cover. This has made opportunities for ecotourism to thrive within the establishment of about 8 national parks. Our last speaker mentioned them. There are also highlands with unique temperate climate which makes special attractions as Jos Plateau, the Adama Highlands, the Obutu Plateau. The Bar Beach of the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, which stretches from Badagry to Calabar, is an attraction. In addition, there are monuments, rock formations, waterfalls, springs, caves, stadia, urban structures that compare with other modern cities of the world which attract domestic movements. These are opportunities for investment. Historic and heritage sites, some noble historic and heritage sites that we have include the ancient city walls in Kano, Katsina State, the Shukur, the Arukchuku War Museum, and so on and so forth. Business. Business activities are largely promoted by domestic tourists include shoe factories in Aba, Akwate cloth in Abia, Adire materials in the west, hide and skin in the north, textiles in Kano, Lagos. People make trips to these locations to patronize these products, hence increasing the economies of the localities. Overall benefits to domestic tourism. These diverse expressions of language, food, dress, dance, history, trade, and nature constitute an irresistible magnet